All right, I think we can start. So again, thank you all for joining on time and welcome to this webinar where we show you the how to simply manage your data analytics and all your data needs within Incorta Cloud. This is a part of a webinar series that spans over 3 episodes. In today's session, we're gonna introduce Incorta Cloud, and in the next session, after 2 weeks, we're gonna walk you through how to migrate all your data needs from on-premise to Incorta Cloud. And then in the last session, we're going to delve into technical details about the features, how they work under the hood, and how to make the best of them. Co-hosting this session with me is my colleague, Cloud Engineering Manager, Omar Yusri. He will be responsible for the technical part where we explain Incorta architecture and how the cloud offering looks like. With that said, I think we can start. This is our agenda for today. We will start with a quick introduction about Incorta and then move on to the Incorta Cloud offering and a little bit more details about how it works, the security aspects of it, the challenges that you might face, and we will end up with a quick demo of the Incorta Cloud platform. So, Incorta was founded in 2014 by technologists from Oracle and other Silicon Valley companies. They found a gap in the data analytics market that was absolutely void before Incorta. So they founded Incorta, and backed by investors like Google Ventures and Microsoft, we've grew today to the scale that we are at, more than 300 employees and more than 150 customers from an incredible list of brands that we serve today, from different sections ranging between finance, consumer products, high tech, energy, entertainment, and media. And these are some of our customers in the Middle East, ranging between government entities, private companies, and financial companies. So what was the gap that motivated our founders to create the company? First, does this sound familiar to you? You want to make a data-driven decision. This is a decision that you want to make right now while the data is still relevant, while the decision is still of high value, but you're unable to do it because you don't have enough technology, enough data ecosystem to make that decision right now. And also you have your data scattered between a lot of data sources. So you want to bring in data from multiple sources, whether they are cloud or on-premise, and drill down in this data in this one unified view to the finest details. And you also are facing problems with the IT. You would like to have that kind of data connection, that kind of decision-making power, but without the burden of IT, without having to wait for other teams to help you. You would like, as a business user, to be empowered to do your own analytics. So this was the gap that motivated our founders to start Incorta. And the reason why is that the so-called modern data architecture that was available at the day, so the best of the breed, was something like this. You have your data sources at the far left, you have the business users and the BI tools at the far right, and separating them are multiple layers of data extraction, transformations, and aggregations, like remodeling, and reshaping your data into a data warehouse, and then creating a data mart to serve the data needs for your business users. You risk losing transaction details, you risk losing data accuracy throughout this process, and you lose a lot of time. Now, what Incorta does is that it replaces everything between the data source and the end user with a single platform, which is Incorta. So no matter where your data is, whether it's an Oracle database, a NetSuite, Workday, SAP, any other cloud source, a file system, wherever your data is, we ingest 100% of your data. We map it directly from the source without the need for remodeling. You don't have to do a dimensional model here. And then we deliver 100% of this usable data to the business user. And through an intuitive API, we empower the business user to create their own analytics, their own reports, their own insights on top of the data. And not only that, but Incorta also sees itself as an open data delivery platform. So not only it serves the end user, it can also push the data to further down the pipeline to other systems like Blackline, Azure Synapse, Google BigQuery to continue your data journey even outside Incorta if you want. So let's imagine that you are the responsible for your data ecosystem in a company. You have your data sources in different databases, and you have a lot of file systems and interconnected systems. So I just had this image generated today by ChatGPT just for the fun of it because it's completely garbage. But I didn't thought that in fact managing an on-premise data ecosystem that is large enough, substantial enough, is going to be a complete mess like this, a complete headache. So just you end up with a situation where you have a capacity crunch, meaning you are unable to scale when your data increases, or you can scale, but it's very hard to do so. And so you're limited, you have limited scalability options that does not suit the modern data needs. And then second, the maintenance and operation cost is very high. So you have a large IT team connecting all your, maintaining your ecosystem, your different frameworks. It's a high budget team. And since you have multiple systems interconnected, you end up usually with silos, like different frameworks and managed by different teams with different standards. It becomes hard to find a unified way to do things. And you're still vulnerable to disasters. With a substantially large enough ecosystem, you have to have a rigorous DR solution that is going to be either very costly to maintain or even not feasible. So in comes Incorta Cloud to solve all these problems. And what Incorta Cloud offers or promises to solve these problems, that gives you first unlimited scalability. You can scale your cluster up and down seamlessly with the increasing volumes of your data. Can in a very much easier than an on-prem setup. You can increase the size of your cluster without the need for help from IT, which is our second point, is that here it's a complete SaaS offering with automated monitoring systems. It means you no longer need a large IT team to manage and monitor your cluster. It gives you a unified data model where we merge all your data sets from all your cloud and on-prem data sources. So even if you have a data source behind a firewall in your on-prem architecture, we can still get data from it. And it's very cost efficient. You can predict how much is this going to cost you, and you can control this cost with different measures. So with those promises, the key highlights of our Incorta Cloud offering is that first, it's very simple. It's all a browser-based platform that is securely accessible, where you as a manager of this system can create clusters in minutes. You can clone or upgrade your clusters at a push of a button. It's a very flexible system. You can connect to virtually any data source, wherever it is, in the cloud and the on-prem. We can reach out to data securely anywhere. It is unlimitedly scalable. You can, with the increasing volumes of your data, we can ensure you that there is a scale in the Incorta cluster sizes that can fit this data that you can upgrade very easily to. It's very cost effective. You become up to date with our latest innovations. We are a cloud first company. Every innovation, every new features first goes to the cloud. And since the cloud offers us a lot of features and other ecosystems that we can utilize to make even the user experience much faster. And it's a very secure system. We are SOC 2 compliant and DMO compliant, GDPR compliant. And with the built-in advanced data security and privacy safeguards, we are up to the challenge of any cybersecurity standard. So with that said, I will leave the floor to my colleague, Omar, who's going to take us through the Incorta Cloud architecture, how it looks like, and how does it work. Go ahead, Omar.
Thanks, Maud. Okay, before we dive into anything, let me just share with you a quick trivia question that I just saw before the session. That did you know the estimated amount of data created globally every day is around 2.5 billion gigabytes, which, if you think about it, it would sound and seem insane. But I believe everyone would notice that the same pattern is happening with their own data. Try to compare the amount of data and the number of data that you had and you were working with this year in comparison to the amount of data that you had last year. And you would notice that the data grow exponentially in a way. And with this amount of data, navigating through it without the right tools can feel impossible. And that was one of the main reasons we came up with Incorta Cloud, where we try and we can focus on what truly matters, extracting meaningful insights from your data to drive your business forward and eliminate the need to worry about all of the concerns that Mahmoud mentioned, the big volume of data that you are pulling, the infrastructure complexities, the scaling challenges, security concerns, and the huge fixed cost that you are paying. Currently, we are fully operating in 10 different regions all over the globe, including Saudi Arabia, United States, Europe, and Asia. And we're not just limited to these regions. We can operate in any region if requested in no time. And all of this is based on our customer requirement, whether you need to comply with GDPR or NDMO or the California regulations, we got you covered. We understand the importance of being close to your data for performance, compliance reasons, and the network latency across regions can cost or can impact your performance. So we try to operate, or we operate in different regions. We can place our services near your data, ensuring optimal performance in terms of the location, the regulations, and the network traffic as well. And we're not just limited to one vendor, as you can see, that we are currently operating in Google and Azure. And we're planning to expand next year to support AWS as well.
Great. So this is the typical Incorta architecture. If you are an on-premise Incorta customer, this is the framework that you have to install in place. First, you have a data acquisition layer, which is responsible for data extraction and bringing in data from different sources into our shared storage, which is our second component that glues together the analytics service with the loader service, where in the analytics service, we serve the business user and the dashboards at the end. There's another data enrichment layer where you do your notebooks, the custom transformation logic, if you have any, and any machine learning model that you might have. There's a metadata database, and there is a distributed configuration system that glues everything together and makes this architecture work. So if you are an on-prem customer, this is pretty much how you experience Incorta from an administration point of view. So Omar, how does the Incorta Cloud simplify this architecture and make it easy for the end user without having to have an IT team to manage it?
Okay, that's a good question. So we work to minimize this overhead that the customer has to go through to get started, from 2 weeks up to 2 months, maybe, or even more, set up on their on-prem, to just simply get your cluster up and running in less than 5 minutes, where you can get started and go nuts with Incorta. So all the magic you can see happens in one single place, which is the admin portal, which I'll show you with a demo really soon. That's our control plane, where the customer have the full control over his clusters, whether spinning up a new cluster, controlling your cluster size, upgrading your cluster, monitoring, scaling, enable new features, and so much more. While for Incorta services, we have each service run separately in an isolated space. And this allows us to scale either the analytics or the loader separately based on the customer and the cluster workload. And what differentiates that from the on-prem solution is the fixed hardware and the fixed sizing. And there is always a limit on the on-prem. And when the data scale massively, this might require a lot of compute resources, which is hard to allocate on-prem easily. We had a similar incident. A customer used to spend over than 300,000 a month just for the allocated hardware. And when we introduced our scalable solution, we were able to reduce down the cost down to 30,000. So it's almost 10 times the cost reduction. And also Spark auto-scaling come out of the box for all the clusters running on the cloud. And all of these services are pushing and pulling their data from a shared object storage that we have in place. And by the way, it's an unlimited storage, so you don't have to worry about the disk size issues or limits. And regarding the customer data sources, whether your data is in Oracle, NetSuite, SAP, Incorta has over than 240 connectors now that you can use to pull your data to Incorta. So it can be processed. And for the private data sources, we got you covered as well, where customers store their data on-prem with firewalls and network regulations. We have the data agent in place where we can allow Incorta to safely and easily push the data to Incorta, encrypted, of course. And that takes us to another topic, which is our security and how we can secure our end users. So we have different aspects in terms of security. First is the infrastructure. So all of our data and metadata are stored privately and can be reached only through Incorta, in addition to auditing and monitoring all of the actions done on the infrastructure. In terms of the authentication, we have an extra layers on top of our username and password authentication. So we offer the MFA and including the SSO with a SAML2, and also recently Auth0 was come in place. And for the authentication or for the authorization part, we provide two layers of authorization, the object level permission and the row level permission. So safely, we can say you don't need to worry about mistakenly share your private finance schemas with anyone. And regarding the most important part, which is the actual data, so the raw metadata and the Parquet data as well, all of these are encrypted at rest. So the metadata, all of the connector data sources, all the credentials that you have are safely stored, encrypted in our database. And for extra security precautions and measures, we offer JKM, or the Google Cloud Key Management Service, that allows the user to use his own key, whether he wants to rotate the key or revoke the key and change the key at any moment in time. And since all the clusters are running publicly on the internet, so whenever we provide a new cluster, it's just, you can try and guess the link if you have the cluster name. And that's why we have a limitation on the access level. So where we can allow a certain IP or an IP ranges to only allow the Incorta clusters. And this is being done actually by a lot of our customers, where they just, in some cases for their production clusters, they want their employees to access Incorta only through their office networks. So all of this can be done either on a cluster based on all the clusters that you have. So you don't need to worry about applying a certain configuration that will impact all of your clusters. That I'll show you in a second. And in general, Incorta performs periodic security testing and also conduct like annual internal and external audits, including the pen testing, static application security testing, and network vulnerability testing. And that takes us to our last part, which is the challenges and the concerns that customers might have. So we already covered one piece, which is how can we connect to private data sources in the customer private network or the on-premise in general, where we deploy the data agent which runs on premise, where it pushes the data to Incorta, encrypted, of course, over SSL as well, just making sure. So we continuously monitor the health and the performance of our platform in real time. So this includes tracking the system metrics, user activities, data flows, the load times, and the dashboard visualization. All of that we are tracking and monitoring. So just to make sure everything is operating as expected, and our system is configured to automatically alert our the SRE team and the administrators of any potential issues. And lastly, ensuring that the resilience and the availability of the availability of your data is a top priority in Incorta Cloud. So our disaster recovery can come in place to make sure your data remains safe and accessible. And we do achieve that by a couple of things. So regular backups. We perform regular automated daily backups for our customers or for our clusters to back up the data, the metadata, and the configurations. And these data on these backups are stored securely as well and can be quickly recovered when needed in case something went wrong. One of the IT just decided to delete a really important schema. We can recover that in actually no time. So rapid recovery procedures in case like an outage went in one of our cloud providers. So I think in 2020, Google had a region that exploded or because of a tornado. So something is out of our hand to do, but something we can provide is that we can migrate your cluster to a different region, where in case of an outage, we can get you covered in and up and running in no time. And last is the demo time, where we can show you a quick overview about Incorta Cloud, how to get you started and get you up and running in actually no time. So let me just quickly show you my screen and we get you. So I think that's the second screen. Okay, that should be fine too. So once you're logged into, once you're signed in or you type in cloud.incorta.com, that should be the first encounter you should see. Just signing up should be simple. Just type in your email and that's it. And you'll just go through the regular authentication and authorization through the email, and that's it. That should be as simple as that. So let me show you how it would look like within the portal itself. So once I'm logged in, I get my code. Let me just give it and share it somewhere else. Okay, so once you're signed in, you should be able to see all your clusters running. So I just created this like a couple of hours ago, just for demo purposes. You can see, you can control and configure all the clusters. So separately. So I have the G monitor, which is one of our like core clusters that we had, that we use to monitor, to track all of our customers, all of our metadata, making sure everything is running correctly, tracking their consumptions, making sure everything is up to standards. You can configure your cluster. So I have one is running on medium size, one is on X small size. All of the clusters can be configured separately. No one can access the different clusters. If you're the administrator, you can see both. If anyone has access to this, they cannot access to the other one. So you can see we have a lot of configurations ongoing. Whether you want to connect to an external BI tool like Tableau or Power BI, we got you covered with that. You can, whenever a new release comes out for Incorta, you can just simply click on there should be like an upgrade button to show up, and we send you like a notification that we recommend for you to upgrade your cluster, where we can upgrade at any moment in time. You can scale your cluster on demand at any moment, or scale your services at any moment on demand as well. We have a lot of more features going on. you can use at any certain moment in time. And get it started, it should be simple. It just as simple as create cluster. So you can personalize your cluster. So if I want to be a little bit customizable, I can name it Omar Yosri, which is my name, and I try to create a cluster with my own name. And this would gives you once in like 5 minutes, you can see all the clusters have their own personalized URL. So if my cluster, once it's running, it should have omaryosri.cloud.incorta.com. And whenever a cluster is up and running, we share with you an email with the credentials for this cluster. You can change the email and the credentials at any moment in time, whenever you like. And I recommend everyone in this webinar and in this session to try it out, to go crazy, so that you get a glimpse or you understand the power and the capabilities that you will be about to see in the next webinars. And Maud will be talking to us a little bit more about what's coming in the next sessions. Okay, thank you, Maud. You can take it from there.
Great, Omar. Thank you so much for the demo. And I'm really excited for everyone in the webinar. Please go to cloud.incorta.com, sign up for a free account, and start your data analytics journey on the cloud. I just need a few minutes to walk you through some of the Incorta cloud features that are currently exclusive to our Incorta Cloud offering. And starting by Incorta X, which is the latest generation of our Incorta engine that was rolled out early this year. It's the latest generation of a long dynasty, let's say, of Incorta analytics engines now baked from within with GenAI capabilities and ML models. It enables the next generation augmented analytics, which allows you not only to create your own insights on top of the data sets that you have, but also have Incorta augment what you create by summarizing or describing a dashboard or even creating a storyboard. And for storytelling, we enable you running one-click forecasting, clustering, anomaly detection, a lot of other ML models on top of your business data. We give you options for advanced data modeling, and it's pretty much our fastest query accelerator if you are using external BI tools like Tableau or Power BI. So you end up with all your data in our data lakehouse, which sits on top of the cloud vendors. We give you a global semantic layer, which is our business views, on top of it running our Incorta X engine, supporting augmented analytics, machine learning, advanced modeling, and query accelerator. And at the top of the pyramid, we have a marketplace for data applications, which contains a lot of ready-made dashboards and data models that you can directly import into your cluster, so that it gives you a quick bootstrap of your data journey. You don't have to rebuild everything from scratch. We have already got you covered in a lot of use cases. And also one of the main features of the cloud is our Incorta Copilot, which is a new feature that enables mainly three categories of features. First, it creates content for you. So it creates insights. It helps you create complete dashboards just based on questions that you type in plain English or even in Arabic, by the way. So you can just ask it, given the data set in this business schema, how is it likely that some customers are going to churn by the end of this year? And it can create a full dashboard for you with all the related information around customer retention, and any aspect related to the question that you've asked. So that's the first category of features that it helps you with. The second is that it helps you with code generation. In certain tasks in Incorta, maybe you would like, as a data engineer, to start playing with a notebook or start coding some logic in SQL or Python in Incorta. So to help you with that, the Incorta Copilot can also generate Python and SQL code for you if you're using an Incorta notebook. And last, it helps you with our data studio that encompasses a range of features ranging from data quality and data transformation. It can also help you pretty much create your data quality rules much faster than you would have done manually. And we have much more features that are cloud first or even cloud exclusive that we're gonna detail in the next two sessions. So this was just a glimpse of what you can expect from our Incorta Cloud offering. In the next session, which is going to be after 2 weeks, we're going to talk about migrating from Incorta on-prem to Incorta Cloud. And then in the last session, we're going to take a deep dive into all the features that I just mentioned and how they work under the hood. How can you utilize them to the best of their capacity to help you actualize your data strategy in the organization. With that said, I think we have covered all the points that we would like to talk to you today about. So thank you so much for being a great audience, and we're open for questions if you have any. Cool. So we encourage you all to join our colleague Amr Ganina from our pre-sales team, who's going to host the next session, which is going to be in the next after 2 weeks. The link of the webinar is in the chat. Please check it out. And we have a question from anyone. Yep. Okay, so Mu'tasim, please go ahead. If you have any question, please type it in the chat or unmute yourself and go ahead.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. The question is, do you, I could see Omar said you operate in Saudi and United Arab Emirates, and that goes very well with the data privacy protection policy that been issued in both countries. The question is, Incorta, my understanding now, I'm just confirming my understanding, Incorta Cloud sits on the top of the service providers, whether Google, Microsoft, and soon AWS. And then you receives data, whether even from premises, and do all the generative analytics and AI and reports to customers, correct?
Correct.
Okay. The question is, are you integrating with aggregators, which in a way, we are a company that we have our own data sits on the cloud of Google and Microsoft in Saudi, and you will be able to receive those data and do the analytics. The question is, will you keep copy of those data, or you just open through API connections and do the analytics and data remains on these clouds of the company? So how you treat data?
Okay, that's a very good question. Thank you so much. So first, let's break down the answer to two parts. The first part is that when we extract data from data sources, we keep a copy of this data in Incorta in our shared cloud storage, which is completely, each customer has their own independent bucket that is not shared with any other customers. Even we don't have access to that. That's the first part. Second, when we run a Gen AI model, whether it's a private model, because we do support private and public models as well. Whether it's a private or a public model, we do not share the data with the Gen AI model at all. We only share the metadata, And the role of the GenAI model here is to craft from the question or from the prompt that it receives and the metadata that it knows about you, about the data model. It crafts a query that runs on top of Incorta inside the Incorta Cloud. So we do not take the data to the model. We only take the prompt to the model, have the model generate a query for us, and then run the query in the Incorta Cloud. So the data stays safe at rest in the Incorta Cloud cluster. And we do have integrations with known GenAI providers like OpenAI, Google, Azure, and we also have support private LLM models, whether they are hosted on the cloud or even on-prem. We are working on that as well this quarter. And we have some partnerships with vendors like Victara, who is also located in Saudi Arabia, who provide AI models for unstructured data analysis. So I hope I've answered your questions by that.
You did. And for further discussion of hosting and how this will move next step, would you kindly send me an email? Who's the person I should get in touch with, so we can get initial sense of how we can build this within our service to our customers?
Definitely, that will be our pleasure. And please, Tasneem, take a note of that. We need to connect Mr. Mu'tasim with our Director of Product, Mohammed Prince. Thank you. I see another question in the chat. What is the permission model? Is it rule-based access control? And the answer is yes, it is. In addition, we have fine-grained permissions to each single entity inside Incorta. By entity here, we mean a data object like a table, a materialized view, a dashboard, a schema, a data source. So every object in Incorta, every entity has a permission scheme. And in addition to that, we actually have also role-based security, which even if we both have access to the same object, to the same report, based on our clearance, we can both see different data sets, or I can see less data set than you can because I have less permission, or I have lower, I'm not clear, I don't have clearance to see more data. So even single entity that is already that I'm authorized to see, I may only be able to see just a subset of the rows in there. All right. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for being a wonderful audience. Thank you for the questions. We do encourage you to keep an eye on the next installation of this webinar, which is going to be in 2 weeks. Please follow the link that is shared in the webinar chat, where we will take you through a journey how to migrate your on-prem data architecture to Incorta Cloud. And we are looking forward to see you in next webinars as well. With that said, we can wrap up this one. Thank you so much for your time, and see you soon.
Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Bye.